Welcome to this deep dive, and we're going to be looking at Life of Pi.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, Yann Martel's Life of Pi. And we're really going to get into um, all the amazing things that are in this book. And I've got Clear's Throat, an expert here with me.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
Life of Pi is like one of those stories that stays with you.
It really does.
And it makes you think, you know,
Hmm.
about faith, about storytelling, what's true.
Well, let me just give a little, overview
Yeah.
for our listeners.
Please.
Life of Pi kind of unfolds in three parts,
Okay.
almost like the acts of a play.
I like that.
You know, we've got Pi's childhood, then we've got this harrowing experience that he has at sea,
Yeah.
and then the aftermath,
Yeah.
where his tale is questioned.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to take you through each of these parts and unpack, all the really rich symbolism and
Right.
thought-provoking themes
Yeah.
that make this book so captivating.
Awesome.
So let's just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
And to begin with, let's look at Pi's kind of unusual upbringing.
Okay.
He grows up in Pondicherry, India.
Right. A vibrant world.
Yes, yes. And his family owns a zoo.
Which is like such a cool backdrop for a story.
It really is. I mean, can you imagine?
I mean, talk about a unique childhood.
Yeah, but also a little dangerous, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, a zoo.
But think about it, though. His early exposure to all those animals,
Okay.
it instilled in him like this deep understanding of how animals behave.
Oh, I see what you mean.
He learns about the whole predator-prey thing, the importance of territory,
Yeah.
the power of instinct, all stuff that ends up being like totally vital for him later on, you know?
Right, right. It's almost like his childhood is this training ground
Exactly.
for what he has to face.
Yeah. It's like unconventional training.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
For the ultimate test.
Totally.
But it's not just the animals that shape his worldview, right?
Yeah.
This kid embraces three religions:
Yeah. I mean, that always stood out to me, too.
Hinduism, Christianity, and Islam.
It's pretty unusual.
Yeah, pretty unusual.
Even for someone growing up in a diverse place like India.
Right, exactly.
And, the religious leaders in his life, they're like, pick one.
Choose.
Right. But Pi, he's not about that.
He wants it all.
He's curious.
Yeah.
He sees the connections between these different faiths.
Mm-hmm.
He believes they all lead to the same truth,
That's really interesting.
And that idea, that belief, it becomes a source of strength for him throughout everything he goes through.
Yeah.
It's almost like Martel's setting us up,
Okay.
early on,
Yeah.
foreshadowing what's to come.
The challenges to his beliefs, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so we have Pi coming of age in this incredible setting.
Yeah.
He's got this understanding of animals and this really open approach to spirituality.
And then, boom, his world changes completely. Political unrest forces his family to sell the zoo.
It's like he's losing his childhood,
They have to emigrate to Canada.
losing his home.
It's a huge transition
Yeah, and he's setting sail.
into the unknown.
Yeah, it's not just a physical journey, right?
No, it's symbolic, too, He's leaving behind the safety of his past.
So it's like the stage is set for something big,
Absolutely.
something extraordinary.
And that's where we'll pick up in part 2.
Okay, so join us then.
We'll delve into Pi's incredible journey of survival and see how those early experiences shape everything that's to come.
It's going to be good.
See you then.
Okay.
And yeah, part 2, this is where things get, well,
Intense.
intense is a good word for it.
Yeah.
Pi and his family, they're on this cargo ship, the Simsum, headed to Canada. New life, fresh start.
Right.
And then disaster strikes. I mean, it's just like
Talk about a turn in the story.
out of nowhere.
It goes from this coming of age to bam, survival.
Survival, totally.
Yeah.
The ship sinks.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
And Pi is the only human survivor.
I can't even imagine.
Just adrift
Yeah.
in the middle of the Pacific Ocean
On a lifeboat.
on a lifeboat.
So, I mean, he's alone, but he's not really alone.
Right. It's like this crazy mix of animals on board with him.
It's really bizarre when you think about it. There's a zebra with a broken leg.
A zebra, yeah.
Yeah,
And this orangutan, orange juice.
orange juice, yeah.
Such a gentle soul.
Yeah, and then there's this hyena.
Menacing hyena.
What's
And
that?
and hidden, right, under a tarpaulin.
Is the tiger?
The big one?
Richard Parker.
Richard Parker's
450 pounds.
Bengal tiger.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
I mean, it's like a weird, messed up Noah's Ark, right?
Yeah, it is. But it highlights, I think, something really important
What's that?
about survival.
Okay.
It's random. It's
Yeah.
almost absurd.
Right.
Here's this kid who grew up in a zoo,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's stuck on this tiny lifeboat.
With this like microcosm of the world he left behind.
Exactly.
All these creatures, all this beauty and danger.
Yeah.
And suddenly the rules are different.
Yeah. The stakes are way higher.
Absolutely.
And it gets brutal fast.
Oh, yeah. That hyena.
Oh, yeah. Hyena.
First the zebra, right?
Yeah.
Gone.
And then orange juice.
Yeah. It's so sad.
Poor orange juice.
I felt so bad for it's awful. And then you know what's coming.
Pi's thinking the same thing.
He knows he's next.
He's watching this all unfold, and he knows, I'm the next target.
Yeah. And it's at that moment.
Just when all hope seems lost.
Yeah.
Richard Parker makes his grand entrance.
The tiger comes out.
Emerges from under that tarpaulin.
Yeah. Like, oh no. But also, like, oh, thank goodness.
Right. I mean, it's terrifying, but also kind of relief.
Because the hyena's taken care of.
Yeah. The hyena's gone. Richard Parker is the top dog now. Or top tiger, I guess.
Yeah. He's the apex predator, definitely.
On his little floating world. And that's when Pi's knowledge of animals, it becomes like the key to everything.
Right.
He can't beat Richard Parker.
No, not in a fight.
So he has to figure out how to live with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses what he learned from the zoo.
To survive. I mean, it's incredible how Martel brings that all back in.
It really is. It's like it was all like preparation for this moment almost.
Right. Like, who would have thought that growing up in a zoo would prepare you for being stuck on a lifeboat with a tiger?
Right.
But it does.
It does, yeah.
He knows about animal behavior, hierarchy, you
Yeah.
know, how to establish boundaries.
He uses it all. He marks territory.
Mm-hmm.
He gets Richard Parker on a routine.
Establishes dominance in a way.
Yeah. He even trains the tiger, like with a whistle and
uses starvation.
yeah, controlled starvation.
It's a delicate dance, you know?
It is. But, I mean, I also think about the mental and emotional toll this must have taken on Pi.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's alone.
For months. Months and months.
The isolation,
Yeah.
it would break most people.
He starts hallucinating at one point.
Yeah, he has these, like, spiritual experiences.
Talks to Richard Parker like he's a person.
Right. It's like he needs that connection, that companionship.
Yeah.
Even if it's with a tiger.
Even if it's not real.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder, though, is he losing it?
Yeah.
Or is this just like a coping mechanism?
That's a great question. And that's one of the things that makes this book so fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
The lines between reality and imagination, they start to blur.
Totally. And then
Yeah.
there's that whole thing with the floating island,
Oh, yeah.
which is just like so surreal.
It's like a dream, you know?
It is. It's like something out of a dream. This island covered in freshwater ponds.
And meerkats. Just like tons of meerkats.
Yeah, meerkats everywhere.
Everywhere.
And at first, you think, oh, it's a miracle.
Pi's luck is changing.
He's going to be okay.
He's found paradise.
Yeah, but then, like always with this story, there's a dark side.
There's always a twist.
There is. He figures out that this island is carnivorous.
Carnivorous island.
Yeah. The algae, they produce acid at night.
Yeah, they eat anything that's left on the surface.
They dissolve it.
And Pi, he even finds a human tooth.
Embedded in a plant.
Right. It's this chilling reminder.
Yeah. You can't stay there.
Even paradise can be a trap.
Yeah. You have to keep moving.
Embrace the unknown.
So I guess we'll have to wait for part 3 to find out what happens next.
Exactly. We'll see how this incredible journey ends and how Pi deals with the questions of what is true, what we believe, and what stories we choose to hold on to in the face of everything life throws at us. So after 227 days at sea.
Can you imagine?
It's hard to even fathom that, isn't it?
227 days.
Pi finally reaches land.
He makes it.
Washes ashore in Mexico.
Exhausted, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. But alive.
But alive, yeah.
And that's when his journey with Richard Parker, it ends.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like that. The tiger, he just walks off into the jungle.
Doesn't even look back. Nope. No goodbye. No sentimental farewell.
It's kind of sad, isn't it?
It is a little. We've been with them this whole time through all this craziness.
You're rooting for them, This weird, unlikely pair.
And then poof, he's gone.
Back to the wild.
Yeah. It's a reminder that Richard Parker, he was never a pet.
He was a wild animal.
Always.
Driven by instinct.
Survival.
Not, friendship.
Right. And for Pi, it's a return to civilization.
To the human world.
Which probably feels pretty strange to him after everything.
Oh, I bet. After 227 days on a lifeboat, yeah.
He's rescued, taken to a hospital.
Okay.
And then he's interviewed by these two Japanese investigators.
You want to know what happened, right?
Of course. They're trying to piece together what happened to the Simpson.
And I mean, come on, let's be real. If you heard this story,
Yeah.
you'd be skeptical too, right?
A boy and a tiger on a lifeboat for 7 months.
More than 7 months.
It sounds unbelievable.
It does. Like, too crazy to be true.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Because the investigators, they push Pi for a more, a more realistic explanation.
Something they can believe.
Right, exactly. And so Pi, he offers them a second version of his story.
A different story.
A different story.
Okay.
And it's much darker.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not about animals this time.
It's about people.
Yeah, human survivors from the shipwreck.
Oh, wow.
And this version, it hints at cannibalism, at the really dark side of human nature.
The things people will do to survive.
Exactly.
So now there are two stories.
Two very different versions of the same events.
One with animals, one with people.
One fantastical, one brutal.
And then Pi asks the investigators that famous question.
Which story do you prefer?
Such a great question.
Because he's not asking which one is true.
It's not about the facts.
He's forcing them, and us as readers, to confront our own beliefs.
Yeah, like, what do we want to believe?
What makes more sense to us? What resonates with our worldview?
Even if it's harder to accept.
Exactly. He's saying life is messy. We don't always get neat answers.
So which story speaks to you? Which one helps you understand the world, even if it requires a little faith?
And the investigators, these guys who are supposed to be all about facts and logic,
Yeah.
they choose to record the tiger story
The one with Richard Parker.
in their official report.
Wow.
It's like they're acknowledging that sometimes meaning is more important than literal truth,
The hope.
the inspiration.
Yeah. The power of the story itself.
And I think that's what makes Life of Pi so powerful.
It reminds us that truth can exist in different forms.
That the stories we choose to believe, they shape our reality.
Maybe just as much as the facts do.
Maybe even more.
So we're left with a lot to think about, aren't we?
Lots to ponder. About survival, about faith, about the power of storytelling.
It's a book that stays with you.
It really does. And I think that's the mark of a great story, isn't it?
It is.
It challenges you. It makes you question things. It stays with you long after you've finished reading.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Life of Pi.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you enjoyed it and that it, inspired you to think a little differently about the stories we tell ourselves and the world around us.
And about the power of belief.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening.